Dance isn't who you are, it's just a place where who you really are feels welcome to come out. Hey dancers, it's Kirsten. Welcome back to the Confident Dancer YouTube channel or podcast if you're listening there. Today I'm going to talk about 4 lies that dancers are often taught to believe, and these lies are just so destructive to us. I've seen them consistently as a dancer and also as a coach who supports dancers through overcoming their mental blocks, whether that be insecurities, performance anxiety, self-doubt, low self-confidence, whatever it is. That's my jam. That is my job. That's what I do. And I've seen so many dancers really be impacted in their quality of life, in their self-esteem, and just in their journey overall by these lies. So I want to call them out, and I would love to hear what you think in the comments. I know there are so many more than just this, so if any come to mind for you, definitely comment below if you're watching on YouTube. I hope you really enjoyed this video and find some reassurance in me calling these out. Of course, as always, I'm going to point you towards more of what I believe the truth to be so that we can experience relief. I don't like to just point out the negative and be like, well, there you go. Too bad, so sad. I want to give some solutions or hope or light to point us to and not just stay in the negativity. But sometimes we got to call it out. We got to call out what's not working for us in order to move forward in an empowered way. The first lie that so many dancers are taught to believe is that it is not productive or it is some form of a waste of time to focus on celebrating what's going well. This one drives me crazy. It makes sense that we fall into this trap. I don't think anyone consciously is really out, not that anyone isn't doing it, but it is not common for, let's say, teachers to go around saying, never celebrate what you're doing well, ever. But oftentimes we just kind of pick up on this belief, or this belief gets formed because we often focus on corrections. You know, what do we need to change? What do we need to fix in order to be a better dancer? In this practice, which is normal and it's not bad to focus on what you want to change, but it just gets so disproportionate. And sometimes, especially since our brains have a negativity bias, it's normal that we fixate on what we think is going wrong in order to find solutions to change it. But it just gets so out of balance to where dancers really start to feel, even if they don't think it consciously. Let's say, for example, if someone gives you a compliment, oh, they must be lying. Or you don't want to celebrate what you're doing well, even inwardly, because you might either become arrogant or delusional about how well you're doing, and then you'll suddenly discover that you thought too highly of yourself and you got knocked back down. So a lot of times it's like a vulnerability thing too, where it takes a practice of vulnerability to acknowledge, yes, I'm proud of what I just did, or I like that. Anytime you open yourself up to positive feelings like joy or healthy pride, confidence, whatever it is, that is vulnerable because you're opening yourself up to losing that feeling. And so I think a lot of dancers we are shielding ourselves a lot from the hurt of criticism or rejection or whatever. So we are just the first ones to cut ourselves down or not celebrate what we're doing well, because it sounds dramatic, but it's kind of true. I think we're kind of waiting for the next shoe to drop, the next criticism to come. So it can sometimes feel like a waste of time to celebrate what we're doing well, because we're like, oh, we've got bigger fish to fry. We've got another mistake to fix, another flaw to change, or whatever it is. But it is just so worth our time actually to pause and contemplate, what positive changes have I made in my dancing over the last year? What things am I able to do now that used to be very hard for me? What progress have I made? What am I proud of? What are the qualities that stand out for me personally amidst my other qualities? You know, what are some standout qualities? I like to say that instead of what are your strengths, because so often, and this is another thing I wish I could change, we feel like we can't call something a strength if another dancer is also good at that thing or better at that thing. There's always going to be someone who's better than you at a certain skill. It's like, okay, are we going to use that as an excuse to never feel like we're good at anything? Oh, that's sad. I want to encourage you to start intentionally celebrating. I did that well. I mean, even at the end of a combination, I finished that pirouette well. Even if it wasn't perfect, I finished it, or I finished the combination even when I wanted to give up, or my épaulement is getting better, or whatever it is. Even if you don't do ballet, maybe it's something else. else, take a second to celebrate and acknowledge what you're doing well, because you don't want to train your brain to just primarily be motivated by avoiding a sense of punishment rather than moving towards reward. Motivation comes from both the avoidance of pain and wanting to pursue or seek rewards. Pain and rewards, it's the two main forces that motivate our human behavior and what we focus on. We want to balance that out so we're not always just focusing on, I want to do better in this so that I don't get yelled at or so that I don't fail or whatever. Your brain gets trained to constantly focus on the negative. And the thing about our focus is whatever you focus on, you will find, okay? You will find it. And so if you want to keep focusing on what's not going well, you're going to start to literally practice selective blindness. That's a thing where we can not even see what we're doing well. We can't even see our progress because we're not looking for it. There's some really interesting experiments that have been done on what's called selective blindness. It's basically the confirmation bias. Like, it's this idea that whatever you believe to be true through what's called the reticular activating system, your brain basically seeks to find what you're looking for and confirm what you already believe to be true. So if you're always looking at mistakes because you think it's a waste of time to celebrate what you're doing well, guess what? You're training your brain to just consistently find what's going wrong. What do you think that's doing to your overall confidence? Not great things. And the thing about our dancing is however we feel about it, we project a certain energy based off of how we feel about our own dancing that is suggesting to other people, here's how you should feel about my dancing. I mean, why do you think charisma is a thing? Like, charisma is this quality that makes certain people attractive. It makes them seem like leaders. It makes them influential. People look up to them, like them, want to follow them. It's because they have this thing that we call charisma. And a lot of times, one very charismatic trait is this feeling of confidence in themselves and their own message and whatever they're doing or saying that is infectious. It makes, even if what they're saying is kind of bogus, which I've seen this so many times, the power of charisma, right? I've seen in social circles when someone just possesses a self-confidence that they can make, honestly, a dumb joke that's not very funny and people laugh. Why? Because they're emitting such a feeling of confidence that they think what they said is funny, that it's infectious, okay? Feelings are infectious. So other people are going to laugh even if they think, wait, that wasn't actually very funny, like 3 seconds later. Same thing with our dancing. If you are feeling confident in your dancing, if you're enjoying it, other people are going to enjoy it more. Other people are going to be confident in your abilities. It does rub off. So that's why, I mean, my whole brand is the confident dancer. And that's why I coach dancers to overcome their insecurities, their self-doubt, their limiting beliefs about themselves, and just their negative thoughts and feelings towards themselves that are holding them back. Because I've seen again and again that when dancers resolve those things and they do start to embody authentic confidence and they enjoy their own dancing more, they dance better. Other people recognize them for dancing better, and their training and career goals become even more possible and achievable to attain because they change their mentality. So that's why I focus on it so much in my free content. So anyway, that is enough on that first point. The second lie that dancers are often taught to believe is that good dancing comes from not making mistakes or not having flaws, rather than having the presence of beautiful qualities. So this is not something that people really consciously articulate or say with their words, but it's something that I can tell is a deeply ingrained belief because we act it out in our actions, which is this fixation again, that we fixate so much on getting rid of our flaws, covering those up, changing them, fixing our mistakes, not making any mistakes. And we end up focusing on those so much that we develop this belief that when I don't make any mistakes or I don't have any flaws, then I'll be a good dancer. Honey boo boo, like, oh my gosh. Have you ever seen a dancer who is technically beautiful, but there is no soul to what they're doing? And it is so sad because I often think like, oh my gosh, what talent or what amazingly hard work have they poured into looking like that, but it lacks soul, it lacks emotion, it lacks personality. There's no meaning or story being told. It's just, look at me putting my body in these different shapes and it's impressive, But after a little bit, I get bored. I don't get bored easily when a dancer, even if they have technical flaws, even if they're imperfect, even if they make mistakes, if they're feeling something or telling a story and I feel it too, I'm engaged. I'm engaged for way longer than if I'm just left to focus on the technique and the flawlessness. It's like really cool, but then it's like, all right, what else? Good dancing is the presence of beautiful qualities even amidst imperfections and mistakes. It's not just the absence of mistakes or flaws. The third lie I really want to dismantle here is that if you take a year off, or if you basically take a step off of the traditional path to being a dancer, you're done. You know, especially in the professional world, that your journey is less than, or there's no hope for you, or you're not valid, or whatever it is. And especially I'm going to speak to the pre-professional, professional mindset I've seen a lot, especially in ballet. It was this fear of like, oh my gosh, if I don't have the perfect place to train next year, or if I don't stay in shape, or if I don't have a contract next season, if I have to take a little break, then I'm off the path. And it kept me in this cycle of making very fear-based decisions about my life out of stress. Maybe not resting when I needed to rest, or feeling guilty about prioritizing another aspect of my personal life that really was important to me or soul fulfilling at the time. And it manifested in big ways and in little ways, from not being able to enjoy a cookie to, this is less so common now, but it definitely was 10 years ago when I was starting college. But this mentality of like, oh my gosh, if I go to college for dance instead of going straight into a company, is that less than? Am I going to fail? Like, is that not the right path to follow? And so I just want to call out this lie that it's like, if you step off the traditional, quote unquote, traditional or perfect path for 1 second, it's gone, you're lost, you can't get back on. Oh, and thank God for people like Catherine Morgan. There's so many other people out there. One of my best friends, Hannah, formerly Hannah Bettis, that's her maiden name, now she's married. Both of them are people I know personally who are an example of how you can take years off and still come back to dance in a meaningful way. They both dance for companies after their break, and I know both of them are incredibly talented, so it's like, maybe you think, oh, that's not relatable because I'm not like that. Okay, sure. But I can tell you personally, I'm not a prodigy, okay? I never was. I ended up being able to dance professionally. Praise God, that was awesome. Loved it. I took some time away because of a knee injury, and I didn't know how I would come back or if I would. I knew I didn't want to be done with dance, that, dance was still in my heart and I wanted to follow it, but I didn't know if I'd be able to perform professionally again. Guess what? I have. And it's been cool. It just really broke me free, seeing my friends and also from my own experience. And I've seen many other dancers that I can mention have this experience where they can kind of stop making dance their everything for a time and come back to it. And maybe when they were in dance, initially there was this mindset of like fear. Oh, I can't leave. I'll lose everything. But then time and time again, every dancer I know who's taken a break and come back, their relationship with dance is so much better because they realize, oh my gosh, dance was still here. I'm still here. I can get back into it if I want to. Yes, there might be sacrifices. There might be changes. Maybe you won't be destined for the Royal Ballet, but so many of us aren't anyway. So basically, the truth I want to touch on from mentioning the lie is that it's so important to not allow yourself to have such a fear-based mindset that is based in this assumption that your path has to be linear. It has to look the way that seems prescribed, or else something bad will happen, or else you'll fail, or else you can't achieve your dreams. It's like, pay attention to what decisions feel in alignment for you in your life, and you will be fine. Even if, like for me, I didn't end up following the initial path I imagined from the time I was 13 years old of dancing for maybe a medium-sized company, staying there for, let's say, 10 years and doing all these roles. Yes, I ended up giving that up, but it's because that no longer was in alignment for me. And when I found a life that is much more in alignment for me, yes, I had to face all my fears that came from the mindset that I was taught as a ballet dancer, or that I picked up from my environment. Like, that is success, that is the way to be. But when I gave that up and worked through the fears, what I gained in my life was freedom and being myself and living the life that's authentic to me. And I ended up being even more joyful. So please don't feel like you have to live your life according to the fear that comes from that old mentality of like, it has to be this way and I can't get off that conveyor belt. The last lie I want to dismantle is that dance has to be your everything to be great at it. This one has some nuance because it depends on what your goals are in dance, right? If you want to be a principal with New York City Ballet, okay, yeah, to other people, it will look like you eat, sleep, breathe ballet all the time, or whatever dance genre you do. So yeah, if that path is truly in alignment for you, you will have to work very hard, very, very hard to get there and make a lot of sacrifices. But if it's worth it to you, truly, then great. Even so, even in that very extreme example, what I want to get at here is that what I've seen again and again is the longer dancers go throughout their journey, the more they realize that if dance is absolutely their everything, including their identity, that extreme devotion, you know, when it goes beyond devotion and it becomes like this idol in your life where it's like, dance is God, dance is everything, dance is life, dance is who I am, and when I'm bad at it, I'm not doing well. When I feel good at it, everything is great. Okay, that shows that you are way too intertwined with dancing. Like dancing has become you, but it's not you. I've noticed that that actually ends up working against dancers because when dance is your everything like that, you will feel so much pressure to be perfect at it, but we can't be perfect at it. And that pressure will work against you to actually make it harder to enjoy yourself, to feel confident, to dance your best. Letting go is a very important part of getting what you want in life. It's weird, it's paradoxical, but there's this dynamic where if we're so attached to like all these specific outcomes, then it's that attachment and that desperation that actually adds so much pressure to your pursuit of your goals. And it's that pressure and that attachment, that desperation that actually makes it harder to do the things you want to do. So have you ever noticed that it's the dancers that kind of seem almost like they don't care as much, that sometimes they dance better? And it's so frustrating to see that. But I think those dancers are actually a great example of like, it's not that you shouldn't care, but healthy detachment is actually a very important part of not only dancing your best, but having a healthy, emotionally sustainable journey as a dancer. Dance can be a very important part of your life. It can be an important aspect of your expression of who you feel you are. But I like to tell dancers that dance isn't who you are. It's just a place where who you really are feels welcome to come out. What does that mean? That dance isn't the only place that all of who you are exists or is found. Maybe if you feel like that's true, maybe you just haven't explored other aspects of yourself or life. What I want to encourage dancers, you dancers listening or watching in, as you contemplate this tip or this lie that dance has to be your everything to be good at it, is you can practice healthy devotion, but ask yourself, where is it going too far? Where is it becoming your everything to an extent that's unhealthy for you? Because the thing is, and I love how Wendy Whalen put this in her documentary, Restless Creature, I think it's called. She said something, and I'm paraphrasing, like ballet at the end of the day is not going to give back to you. It can't give back to you what you put into it. It just can't. And I thought that was so profound. She is right. It can't. It's not a person. It can't love you back. It can't. It's like a thing that people created. It can't give back to you what you put into it. It's healthy to be like, you know what? I love this. I like this. It's cool, but it's not everything. It's not all of who I am. And that will give you enough healthy detachment so that you can approach your goals, work towards them, practice, devotion or excellence, or applying yourself, but without that extreme desperation that it's like, if I don't get this, then I'm nothing, or I have failed, I am a failure. Okay, that shows that maybe there's some unhealthy attachment going on there. So dancers, oh my goodness, this video has been a lot. Personally, I got really fired up about this one. I'm sure you could tell because I'm just so passionate about us dancers having a healthy mentality in our relationship with dance. Because I really, really, really believe with all of my being that dance is supposed to be something that is beautiful, that adds value to our lives. not something that takes away or disintegrates our mental health or our sense of well-being or satisfaction in life or our self-worth. It's not meant to do that. So if it is, something is wrong and we can change that. If you'd like support in overcoming various mental blocks that you've been experiencing, maybe it's low self-esteem, low self-confidence, imposter syndrome, self-doubt, performance anxiety, perfectionism, comparison, whatever that is for you. If that's something you've been struggling with and you don't want to struggle with that anymore, if you want to truly have authentic confidence and have a healthy mindset in your approach to dance, then that's what I help with as a coach. I have a coaching program, the Confident Dancer Coaching Program, that's specifically designed to help you overcome those things. So if that's something you're interested in getting more support in, even if you're just vaguely curious about it, I would definitely encourage you to click the link below, go to theconfidentdancer.com, and you can learn more about my coaching services and reach out if this is something you'd like to see if it's a fit for you. That is it. I hope you really enjoyed this. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.